South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. How was your weekend?
We're all in one piece. That's all that matters, right? That's the good high-end Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. The Sovereignty is going to be one of the biggest what-ifs in horse racing history now after another impressive showing in the Belmont. It was the favorites trifecta, so
yes, it was.
It feels like everyone had that. I even had that. That's how
even Rodriguez at 4.
Yeah.
It was a 4-horse race, as most of the experts said.
Yeah, even the superfecta 1, 2, 3, 4 and the favorites, not the numbers, of course. But, NBA Finals, Thunder wrap up Game 2 last night to even it at 1 after Indiana's absurd comeback in Game 1. And we'll get into the hockey in a few moments because Dwayne Colucci is standing by. But this Stanley Cup Final through 2 games is well on its way to being an all-time series. 2 overtime games. Edmonton, of course, won Game 1. Florida, behind Brad Marchand, second of the night, gets it done in Game 2 in double overtime. It has been every bit as good as the overtime results have shown. As good of a series as you could have asked for. Game 3 tonight in Sunrise. We will break it down in full throughout the show. Alex and I will have our thoughts. Dwayne will have his thoughts momentarily. But, boy, all you can ask for, and especially that Stanley Cup Final right now, Alex.
Well, really, I mean, we expected it. A rematch here from last year. Both teams, I mean, really turned it on when it came to the postseason. So it has been a lot of fun. Double overtime the other night. That was a fantastic game for us. So you're right. Now both the series, NBA and NHL, tied up at 1-1. So hopefully we can keep these extended and have NBA and hockey a little longer.
Well, definitely the hockey end of things would be real nice. Minus 145 on the Florida end for tonight's game. Plus 125 on the Edmonton side here at the South Point. If you're looking at series prices, it is the slightest of favorite to the Florida side at minus 120. That's actually bounced around since game number 2 ended. Started at minus 125 on Florida, got down to minus 15 and now minus 120. I hear him on the other end, so we're going to bring him in. One and only Dwayne Colucci live from offsite here today up in Summerlin. He's going to join us right now. There's a smiling face in the middle of between us. DC, good morning.
Good morning, guys. It's birthday week. That's why we're off site. We got to take a few days off after that crazy Belmont Stakes and that 2 overtime game. I still have hockey hangover, so.
Oh, happy early birthday to you, Dwayne. I know that's coming later this week. You and I share a birthday week, so that's fun.
That's right, Geminis.
Yours, yeah, that's 100% right. You and I, you a little before me, but Dwayne, I just want to start. We'll circle back to the horse racing, but I just want to start with the hockey because game three is tonight. I just mentioned the prices. Florida's a -145 favorite, plus a quarter on Edmonton on the take back. Total 6.5 down at Sunrise tonight after the first two games zoomed over the total in Edmonton. Dwayne, this has just been every bit as good as you could have asked for. And I can't even say that it was mediocre goaltending. I thought both goaltenders played pretty darn well in these first two games. I mean, Bobrovsky was amazing in game two, especially in the overtimes. But here you go, two big-time overs. Florida a favorite here in game three. Dwayne, every and anything we could have asked for in these first two games we got. It's been an epic start to this series.
Yeah, without a doubt. And let me tell you, the goaltending, despite a lot of goals, Skinner and Bobrovsky have been phenomenal. I mean, you just look at it, and these guys are getting peppered with anywhere from 40 to 50 shots each night. And that double overtime game was really grueling. You know, I had Florida in that second game, so I was in a panic when they scored with 17 seconds left. But, Florida really has class. They really are battle-tested, and that's what, experience brings to the table. And now Edmonton is also garnering that experience. I mean, you've seen Connor McDavid, 35 minutes of ice time in that double overtime game. I mean, this guy is just phenomenal. And it's good to see from the Edmonton side that the roughhouses are actually making a factor. The Corey Perrys, the Evander Kanes, they're scoring goals. Their physical presence has definitely, put a thought into Florida's head. And, you have to be careful. You have to have heads up at all times. I still believe Florida's the better team. You know, we're sitting at 140 at the Rampart and South Point, pumped up, as you could see, a little bit when you get to Florida because they're, a fabulous, fabulous team and franchise. But they have been beaten at home this year. So, you could keep your eye on it during the playoffs. Edmonton definitely has a chance in this game. And it's, according to Skinner still, if he could provide this fabulous goaltending, and McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and like I said, guys like Corey Perry could chip in, you definitely have a massive chance. This is a better Edmonton team than last year, but Florida is vastly improved as well. And, that's what I keep stressing, that the experience is amazing and the deep roster that Florida has. I mean, top to bottom. Seth Jones played about 33 minutes. That was huge. But, you have Forsling, you have Ekblad, you have all these guys that could really eat up minutes, and they just complement the other guys like Barkov, Kachuk, and Marchand was definitely the acquisition of the year, without a doubt. He's already proven, how great this guy is. I mean, he's been a thorn in the side of my Montreal Canadiens for years. I could tell you how hard-nosed and how this man has a will to win. And, on the ice, he's noted for, some crazy antics, but he's a great family man. He's a great teammate, and you could see it's transpiring. And now 21-1, to win the Conn Smythe, he definitely has a chance. McDavid is starting to drift up a little. You get a lot of assists, but he isn't putting the biscuit in the basket. So, let's keep our eye on that. And Bobrovsky's still playing at that top level. So if he could ever shut them down in these next two games, he definitely will be right there with favoritism for Connor McDavid. But, you could see what McDavid's presence is for his team and his teammates and his will to win as well. But I'm liking the Panthers' position. They were able to sway the home ice. That's all they needed to do. The first game was fabulous. The second game was even better. Let's see what tonight brings to the table. I'm excited.
Dwayne, I just want to ask you, because there's kind of two ways that you can look at this game and maybe choose to handicap it. If you're just going with the zigzag theory, you might think that Edmonton getting plus 120 here is great value. Or if you look at it as if Florida was down 0-2 and this was a must win and it's the first game at home, you're kind of getting a great price here with Florida going back home at minus 140. Kind of alluded that with Vinny on Friday. I'm like, I think no matter what, game 3 is a great spot for the Panthers. Is that where you're sitting? Or, I mean, I think you've got a future, so you might not be betting game to game.
Yeah, I still bet though game to game, Alex. You know how I am. I'm crazy. I think the total might be the way to go. I'm waiting for this under game where they both play ultra fabulous. I mean, 5 goals in the first period. The last game was an aberration. I mean, these teams do have high scoring power, but that was just amazing to get 5 goals in the first period. That's why you see us shading the under at 125 at the Rampart and South Point. So, I definitely think that has a chance. And then I'm going to look for some of the propositions to see, who will score, stuff like that. But I feel Florida's in an excellent position, and they definitely want to grab the reins here, but you have to do it, in a timely fashion. You have to get in front and you have to solidify the lead, but that's so difficult against Edmonton. This is a great coin flip series, Alex. So, it's just so tough to handicap, and you see what Edmonton could bring to the table when they're playing on all cylinders. But now this is a different scenario. You're going into Florida, and now you get the crazy Florida fans. The Rats will be on the ice at the end of tonight's game. I'm telling you, I think it's a 3-1 victory for Florida. I'm going to take a chance with the under, and I'm liking Florida's chances. I just think they're so deep, and when you start to play elongated games, it's going to take its wear and tear. And guys like Corey Perry and Kane are a little older. You got to remember, they're wily veterans. They're not young in the tooth like McDavid is, and you could rely on Connor only so much. And Skinner is definitely the key factor. Can he keep this level of play? We know that Sergei Bobrovsky can. He's done it in the past. He's one of the most fabulous playoff goaltenders there is. Let's see if Skinner can keep it going. I think he's going to start to get a little shelled, though. I think that shot differential is going to now sway to Florida's favor tonight. A little tougher defense, and, play that interior defense, like I said. Keep Draisaitl and McDavid from less than 10 feet inside. I mean, that overtime goal that night, that was such a mental breakdown. It started with no 6 penalty, but then they were so wide open. I couldn't believe that McDavid wasn't even touched. Then you have 3 guys chasing him, just zig it to Draisaitl, and it's in the back of the net. So a lot of the goals that Bobrovsky has given up have been unsavable, in my opinion. Whereas Skinner, he's going to let a few through, that are a little suspect, but Florida's had excellent chances, too. Keep your eye on Evan Rodriguez. He's definitely going to be monstrous. And Verhaeghe is unbelievable. I can't believe how good this kid is. He's going to play at a high level tonight.
Dwayne, any thoughts on the series price right now with the Panthers the slightest of favorites at minus 120?
Yeah, I think there's still some value there, Jeff. I mean, Florida, I believe, is the better team going in. I mean, and now you swayed the home ice advantage. That was the whole key. You saw it was Edmonton was a minuscule favorite, what we opened up at the Rampart and South Point, and that's because they had home ice. Now, with the better team, in my opinion, having home ice, I think there's some value at only minus 120. And, you're seeing the different breakdowns of the series also on the graphic right now. I mean, it's not out of the question to get Florida in 6 at plus 350. That's definitely an excellent chance to happen, in my opinion. So there's a lot of hockey to be played. Let's hope nobody gets injured, and each team is playing at full force, so we could continue on to have a great series. This is so far brought everything to the table. It's like the first 2 rounds of Hagler and Hearns. Everything is just massive and toe-to-toe, full battle, full throttle, 2 heavyweights going at it. I mean, Hagler and Hearns weren't heavyweights, but this is a heavyweight matchup for the NHL.
Dwayne, let's go to the hardwood here. OKC gets their revenge. Pretty easy cover for them yesterday. Felt like a good Thunder spot coming off of that miraculous comeback once again for the Pacers. Now OKC's a 5-point favorite on the road. First game going to Indiana, and the total 228. What do you think? You think that was kind of a wake-up call for this really dominant and good OKC team?
I don't know, Alex. I mean, they played like the Knicks in the first game. They blew that 20-point lead, and Indiana's still showing signs that Halliburton could throw it in the ocean, from anywhere. So, this is a tough series to handicap just because of the point spread. OKC is the better team, but now we have to, we're talking gambling on this show. We're talking about betting, and now you're laying 5 on the road. I would think that OKC is going to put the pedal to the metal in this game, the statement game. You have to swing back the home court in this series, and definitely do not succumb to Halliburton, Turner, all these guys that are playing at a good level, and you have some bench play mixed in, like we said, that they needed. But what was so important last night, if you didn't notice, OKC kept the Indiana Pacer total very low. They started to play that defense. They threw some in late in the game, and it got up there to where they scored over 100. But where you saw at about the 8-minute mark where Indiana only has 90, that's when you know that the Thunder are playing fabulous defense and starting to flex. Shea is amazing. He's going to try to really put Indiana's lights out. I would, if I'm betting this series, and I'm probably going to bet on this game because I feel OKC does have to make that statement, Alex. But this is very difficult to handicap just because of that first game. It's in the back of your mind when you blow a 20-point lead. It haunted the Knicks, but don't get me wrong, OKC is not the Knicks. They are tremendously deep. I mean, with guys like Caruso, like we said, just chipping in, Hartenstein. These are the role players that surround all the monstrous players that they have, like Shea and Williams. So, this is definitely the Thunder series to lose, in my opinion. This is the statement game. I would definitely come out and bet OKC if I was, a big OKC backer. I'll probably have a few bucks on them as well because I think they are the better team. And this is the statement game. We're here once again.
That's not till Wednesday night in Indianapolis. 5-point favorite.
Breaks,
Yeah, big. Well, look, it's a long flight from Oklahoma City to Indianapolis, Dwayne. You got to need at least 5 days off for that. But
I know, especially when you make like $20 million. Yeah, it's really it plays on you.
Yeah, but 228. I'll just say this with this series because Game 1 was just. Really just has been the story of this postseason of teams blowing leads in this postseason when the other team doesn't just pack it in for the night. And it's been made beyond clear that Indiana doesn't pack it in at all. Last night was just Halliburton had a bad game. As simple as that, and Oklahoma City took full advantage of it. But last night ended up sneaking over. These totals have been significantly higher for NBA Finals games than we would normally see. But that, again, Indiana's the fastest paced team in the NBA. Oklahoma City is the second most efficient offense in the NBA. Dwayne, when do you think we're going to start seeing these totals drop a little bit? It didn't drop at all, and it dropped a half point so far for Game 3. Is it until we get to Game 5, a Game 6, or even just is it going to be this high until we hit a Game 7 if we happen to make it that far?
Well, it's got to be high in Indiana because, like you said, the high octane, the crowd roaring, and definitely the run and gun. Halliburton did have a suspect game. I mean, and 5 turnovers ain't that bad, but that's a lot for Halliburton, believe it or not. The way he's been going in these playoffs, he had 5 turnovers in that last game. I think Turner had 3 or 4. So they have to play ball control. That's the whole thing. Be, safe with the basketball. Don't have sloppy turnovers. You see some stretches in these games when you get into the mid-third quarter where OKC will turn it over, Indiana will turn it right back over, OKC right back over, Indiana. It's been sloppy at times, so that also adds to the total because you're giving up a lot of fast break points. That means odd man rushes, and it definitely becomes where the total, comes into play. You see, even when OKC, I'm giving them credit for playing good defense, and, you still had 230 points scored. So, I think the totals will start to come down as we get later in the series, especially if any of these games go into overtime, then you start to see the guys get a little wear and tear, especially on the Indiana side. OKC is so deep, like I said, so, it's definitely on guys like Nebhard to step up, take a little pressure off Halliburton, Siakam, Turner. Those guys have to chip in at all times for them to be an effective and cohesive unit and go further in. And Carlisle is the master of that. He'll know how to manipulate that roster and how to get the best out of his players. And if they ever do garner a big lead, you're going to see him possibly rest because they're the team that comes back. Other teams seem to have trouble coming back on the Pacers when they have a big lead. So, this is a very tough series to handicap, but OKC is so deep. I mean, I just think they're going to take it to them in this next game. Shea is just a monstrous player. He's the MVP. He's the best player in the league and definitely the best player remaining in these playoffs. No slight to Halliburton, but SGA is a man, and he's just going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I believe there'll be even less pressure now on the road. This is a focal game, though. Got to get this job done really quick. I want them to, come out and make a statement, and then they could possibly win this series in 5 or 6.
I got to agree with you. I do think that this is a statement game, taking it back here. All right, Dwayne, I want you just to take it here. Overall thoughts from Belmont Stakes that we saw this past Saturday.
Yeah, Alex, I'm sorry I missed your call. I was so busy that night, and I didn't realize that it was your number. And then it kicked into my iPhone. I saw your picture, and I was like, "Oh my God!" But I wouldn't have given you the winner anyway. I boxed Baeza and Sovereignty, so that was the issue there. I was trying to beat journalism and throw them out. I'm not a chalk player. I don't play for chalk, and definitely there was some favorites beaten over the weekend. I mean, some great favorites. You saw the Philly go right down. Good cheer. She was unbeaten in multiple races and just never picked up her feet at Saratoga. But the Belmont brought everything that everybody wanted to see. You had these three horses doing a massive battle. Sovereignty is a beast. I mean, you could obviously see Belmont made the right decision. The horse just went by journalism like he was standing still. I think he's just going to campaign probably for the Travers and, maybe the Woodward as a prep to the Breeders' Cup, but that's in Delmar. So you might have journalism and Baeza match up in the Pacific Classic, which they'll have an advantage because I believe they're going to stay on the West Coast because Sheriffs and, McCarthy are West Coast based, and you have big purses at Delmar. It would be smart to keep them there, I believe, because the Breeders' Cup is there, and that's what the focal is, the Breeders' Cup Classic for all three of these horses. Now, Sovereignty, he looked just amazing. I mean, journalism was really close. It unfolded strange to me. I thought journalism and Baeza broke horribly. If you look at that replay, you can see journalism stumble. Baeza broke on his hindquarters and just didn't really take to the track. You saw Flavian Pratt working him over before the top of the stretch, yet he still finished third. So it's a learning curve for these 3-year-olds. It was a fabulous race. Then Sunday, they kind of screwed up the card because they started to take races off the turf. They hurt Handle by canceling the pick 5s and the pick 4s because you had two legs that were just transferred. They took the two turf races from Saturday, the Jaipur and the big one, I think it was the Manhattan, and they put them onto the Sunday card. So that was very strange because now the structure of the wagering and the betting menu was all affected. And this definitely hurt Handle, Alex, from my point of view. I mean, we were still up as opposed to last year just because these three monsters were there and were doing a fabulous job at the Rampart and South Point promoting horse racing. That's the prominent places to make your horse racing wagers when you're in Las Vegas. But this hurt Handle. We did pick, though, the Jaipur. I tweeted out yesterday for everybody that follows me on X. I gave out the winner, Ag Bullet. Richard Baltus. I can't speak enough about this guy. He's a good friend of my dad's, and he's got one of the best turf sprinters in the country, and that was a win you're in for the Breeders' Cup. So not much more that Ag Bullet has to do now to get into the Breeders' Cup. Just stay healthy, basically, because it was a win you're in. But the Belmont was fabulous. Sovereignty is the best 3-year-old in the country. I think he put that to rest for the time being, though. We're going to see how these horses adapt, who's going to run the Travers. You have a lot of well-rested horses. Rodriguez, he could only get better as well. I mean, he was out there in a press pace like we knew with Crudo. The track kind of dried out, so that played against him, I believe, as well, because the speed duel is not where you really want it to be. So you did have three horses pressing the pace there. Journalism, slingshot to the lead, Sovereignty with the massive close, just a tremendous, tremendous ride by Junior Alvarado. He has such a great relationship with this horse. And remember, the only race that the horse basically lost was a prep race, and Manuel Franco was on the horse, not even Junior Alvarado. And I don't think Mott tightened the screws at all for that prep race. Comes in, wins the Derby, takes the little break, wins this big Belmont Stakes. He's going to be a force in the Travers, and we're going to see moving forward. The Classic division is just going to be off the hook this year. Horse racing is looking great. The Sprint division is monstrous. It's just a great, great horse racing season, and it's good to see the Sport of Kings, back in a prominent fashion and out there where everybody knows what's going on, and these two great racehorses that are similar to Alidara and Affirmed, and, the synonymous battles going back to, Seabiscuit and War Admiral. These are just fabulous matchups that we live for. Easy Goer, Sunday Silence, journalism, Sovereignty. I love it.
Just going to be a what if, right, Dwayne? What if for Sovereignty if he ran at Pimlico and in the Preakness? You never know. My journalism may have still won anyway if Sovereignty was there. But boy, what a race Sovereignty ran on Saturday to win 2 out of 3. win both that he's in, and do it again in the Classic at Del Mar in the fall, more likely than not. Dwayne, before we let you go, I just want to ask you baseball-wise, because we don't really talk much baseball with you, but we're
going to have to. It's all there is.
Oh, trust me, we both know it on this desk. But look, here we go. We're into the second full week of June, as crazy as that is, and we sit here today with the best record in baseball being had by the Detroit Tigers right now at 43-24, with the Mets with the second best record at 42-24. Again, we've talked about the strength of the National League. The AL has, to me, two teams in Detroit and the Yankees that are very much World Series contenders and championship contenders. Dwayne, just anywhere you want to take this question, anywhere you want to go, where's your head at right now here on June the 9th in Major League Baseball?
The Mets scare me, I'll be honest with you. I'm a Dodger fan, and, the Mets definitely, that series was fabulous, the 4-game set. But let's keep in mind, Jeff, I saw you putting out all those great things about the Mets and all the great points, and they're a great, solid team, well-coached, built to last definitely this year. The Dodgers have 14 pitchers on the DL.
Oh, I know.
And you're talking about Blake Snell, you're talking about massive arms, and if they could get any of these guys back, you see how powerful they are. It does seem, though, that Freddie Freeman is getting a little annoyed. I'm watching his, demeanor on the field, and he's doing so much batting in the 380 range that, Mookie and Shohei have to step up, without a doubt. There's still better baseball to be played. Max Muncy with this live and die by the home run, just put the ball in play. Take it in stride. I mean, you have such a fabulous roster. You don't want to play catch-up against the Mets, especially in a championship series, because the Mets have fabulous pitching this year. They have really impressed me. The starting pitching, the closers, just fabulous. And the Dodgers were life and death to get 2 games out of that series. I mean, they manhandled the Yankees before that. I don't think much of the American League. I mean, I think Detroit is going to come back to the pack. Look how the Yankees dominated Cleveland. Cleveland, they couldn't score runs against the Yankees. What happened there? And they better find some hitting if they're going to be a factor to win the American League pennant. Detroit has fabulous pitching. We know that they're a strong, strong team, but I think in a series against the Yankees have a distinct advantage. Still have teams like Kansas City out there, Houston winning the West. What else is new? I mean, Seattle is playing that mediocre baseball. You thought guys like Rodriguez and all them young superstars they had would elevate them, but right now they're just stagnant. Texas as well. I don't know what's going on with Texas. I'm kind of confused why Seager can't get healthy constantly. And, they're another 500 baseball team out there in the West. It seems like the Central is actually better than the West, in my opinion. But Houston is definitely, they have experience and they know how to win games. And if that's, division just hangs at the 500, Houston is going to elevate their level. They have a 2.5 to 3 game lead now, I believe. There it is, 2.5 on the graphic, 5.5 over Texas, who's now 4 games under 500. Detroit has a 7.5 game lead because Cleveland couldn't score runs. Kansas City has played 500 ball. Actually, the White Sox are improved. I watched them. They gave Detroit all they could handle in that series. So that was a positive sign for the rest of the American League that Detroit, they're not dominating and they're not dominant. Watch out for teams like Toronto and Tampa. When they have solid squads, they could definitely make noise, maybe slide into the wild card. We'll see how that works out. But I think the American League is wide open. It is there for the Yankees for the taking because Aaron Judge is just such a superstar. And now Jazz Chisholm is starting to chip in, which is great. Jazz is very honest. He said, I'm about 70, 80%. Now he's starting to get there to the 80, 90%. And this kid is a phenomenal talent and could definitely help take pressure off of Aaron Judge. Bellinger is swatting homers left and right. He hit some key homers in the last week. Keep your eye on the Yankees. If they stay healthy and could get some pitching support and some good pitching, they will dominate the American League and represent them once again. And it looks like the National League is very tough to handicap. Another tough series for the Dodgers, Jeff. San Diego now you have to go into. It seems like the Dodgers are always playing a top team and in a tough series, but, they'll get their wins against those mediocre squads. There's definitely a lot of games left against the bottom tier, and we'll see how those pitchers, if they could get healthy and if they could outlast teams like the Mets, the Phillies, San Diego Diego, San Francisco. Tonight, the Dodgers, 120. We have the 15 cents up at the Rampart South Point, plus 105, the Padres at home. The Dodgers have been playing a lot of tough games, so you might look at the Padres. I hate to say that because I hate this team, but, from a Dodger fan, that's a strong word, but, it's just, it's definitely a position where you could take San Diego tonight. I mean, they're hungry and they always elevate their level. With only a one-game lead, they could possibly have the lead in the NL West coming out of this series. So we'll see how it plays out, Jeff, but I think the Dodgers will get up too.
There are two monster series in the National League starting tonight. You mentioned now one, the Phillies, who are playing some brutal ball right now, are 1-9 in their last 10. Went from 3 games up in the division to 4.5 down in about 3 weeks of real time. Phillies, there you go. They'll take on the Cubs, who just keep motoring along, even though they just lost the series in Detroit against the American League's best in the Tigers. He's Dwayne Colucci. Find him up at the Rampart and Summerlin Races Sportsbook Director, NYBookie Dwayne on the tweets. And every Monday with us right at the top of the show at 10 a.m. DC. Thank you. We will see you again in 1 week's time.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure. The best show on the airwaves for sports betting and horse racing. We cover it all, and 2 experts I'm surrounded by on the pitches here, so it's a beautiful thing. Kenny will be joining later in the week. Alex's dad, he's a master. Chris Andrews, we don't have to speak enough about him. You got to get, where's Jimmy been? Is Jimmy pop in once in a while? I mean, sometimes I'm working. We got to get Jimmy in here. What's he doing?
Oh, just say it might be
in
a
the
little
spa.
Yeah,
spa.
We will see. If we can get him,
Martelli.
we'll see if we can get him out of the spa there, Dwayne. We'll see if we can get him out of the spa. So, DC, Dwayne Colucci, everyone. Dwayne, thank you as always. When we get back, baseball trivia question in the bottom. And also, we'll tell you what's coming on Tuesday. We got a golf preview coming tomorrow. We'll preview that as well in the show here on Sports by the Book.
Football contest sign-up season is here, and you don't want to miss out on the action. With millions of dollars on the line each and every week in the world's biggest football contest, there's only one proxy to trust, footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have set the gold standard for football contest proxy services with 20 years of experience and over 13 million in winnings for their clients. All you have to do is get to Vegas between now and the start of football season to sign up in person, and they do the rest, making sure your picks are entered every week. Whether you want to play in the Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, Super Contest Gold, or the new Super Contest College Contest, Maddie and Tony have you covered. Their new website has everything you need to know about these football contests and more, including how you can reserve the best proxy in the business. Experience matters, so go with the pros at footballcontest.com, the gold standard proxy service.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
This is the best sports betting network.
I would argue it is a total mismatch.
There's value with underdog prices in series.
I would lean to the under here.
My numbers are saying I got to bet the Tigers.
Two-way action.
When in doubt, we juice that favorite, that extra nickel.
Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Forget about it. The best.
Back in at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, alongside. Big thanks to our guy DC for joining us as always. Dwayne Colucci every Monday here on the program. Alex, you ready to go some hardball here on a Monday?
Before we do that, any thoughts or bets for you on NHL for tonight?
Ooh. So game three. We'll do that right now, actually. We'll get what we get from Alex, too, here for this game. Game 3 tonight. In Florida and in Edmonton, moves to South Florida, a little better weather, maybe be an hour thunderstorm as always, but who cares about that when it's indoor sport? -40, so that actually got bet down while we were gone. Some Edmonton action here over the last 20 minutes here at the South Point. -40, +120 on Edmonton, total 6.5. Alex, I am staying off of this pre-flop. This series is so darn even at this rate. It just goes back to what I said beforehand, where I picked Edmonton at 7. I thought home ice would matter. these first two games have been, I mean, look, you get 2 overtime games.
Right.
Dead even hockey games. The question is more so than anything, Stuart Skinner, that last goal, the game-winning goal from Marchand he gave up, probably should have stopped. Got a little bit confused on just how the puck came off the stick of Marchand and ended up going through Skinner in the end. If we were in Edmonton, I'd probably look to go over 6.5. There's going to be one game that goes like 3-1, 2-1. It's going to happen at some point in this series. It's just a matter of when, but I don't have the fortitude to do that pre-flop here. So I'm staying off completely here in game 3. See if we get an in-game angle. This series has been dead even. If you made me pick a side tonight, I would take the Panthers, but not interested in laying $1.40.
I'm right there with you. These numbers are so tight now. I mean, once you get to the postseason. So I did make the Panthers minus 145 back at home here. So I believe it opened a little bit lower. First money on the Panthers. Now people coming back on Edmonton. You make a great point. I mean, it has been dead even. So I can see why people would still make a case for taking a plus price with Edmonton. But I like the momentum more from Florida getting that second overtime goal there and now going back home. So it would be a lean to Panthers as well. Can't go under, but I mean, going back to Florida, I would lean that way as well. I think that number is correct though. 6.5 minus 125 to the under. But I mean, even the regular season games between these two, we saw a ton of goals and all went under a 6.5. So it's very tough to confidently bet an under between these two.
Great offenses. And again, it's not been poor goaltending. Goaltending's been pretty darn good. Bobrovsky was amazing in the overtime in game number 2. Again, 5-4 Florida in game 2, 4-3 Edmonton in game 1. Both games were 6.5s, then went over. Yep. And another 6.5 with juice to the under here in Sunrise tonight. And then they get 2 days off. Mostly because the NBA waited to play till Wednesday instead of Tuesday. That's really all it is. We don't go head to head. So tomorrow will be a fun one. Tomorrow will be our show will be baseball and golf with the U.S. Open coming at Oakmont starting on Thursday this week. All right, now we move the hardball here on a Monday. And we start, oh boy, that's a little bit different going from a Stanley Cup Final game to Pirates and Marlins. But hey, the Pirates swept the Phillies over the weekend. They finally won a skiing start yesterday.
Didn't even get the win, though.
Yeah, well, be under 500 and win the Cy Young. It's Marlins with Perez, Burrows for Pittsburgh. The Marlins are now winning percentage-wise actually behind the Pirates in the NL for the second worst record. Again, Colorado's now a hearty 12-53 after getting swept over the weekend after their sweep of Miami. Just so bad that happened. Yep. Minus 15 on the Pirates, even on Miami, total of 8. I got to stay off of this, even though it does feel like that's a reasonable price on the Pirates. I know, Alex, you and Kenny put cents in for win streak.
Yeah.
But this is almost one of those where I'm concerned that the Pirates are on a win streak, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. But this feels like a good price on Pittsburgh at minus 115 at home.
Well, it's tough because Perez was so good in 2023 and had Tommy John surgery last year, so we don't really know what to expect from him. His rehab has gone very good in the minors, so he should be the better pitcher than Burrows, but Burrows is coming off of his best start against Houston. So if anything, it'd be a lean to the under in the first 5, but I think everything's just right here, side and total. You're right. Give Pirates a little bit for their 3-game winning streak coming into this one, and then you're right there at minus 115.
This is, again, 2 bad teams, bottom feeders in the National League going nowhere. But again, Pirates swept the Phillies over the weekend, which is, and Phillies just not playing well at the moment, Alex.
What are they, 7-3 in their last 10? Oh, 6-4.
Pirates are 6-4 in their last 10. Right now, the whole NL East, the Mets are the only team with a over 500 record in their last 10 at the moment. Speaking of Phillies, they do have the stopper on the mound tonight. Zach Wheeler will go against the Cubs. Big matchup in Citizens Bank Park tonight. Minus 125 on Wheeler, plus 110 on Boyd, who has pitched very well of late. 7.5 the total. Total feels very low for a Citizens Bank Park. Look, I get it. It's a Wheeler start. Boyd is, again, pitched at a really high level his last 3 times out. But we're talking about Citizens Bank Park here with a Cubs offense that's been the best in baseball and a Philly offense that, yes, has struggled of late, but can break out at any point in that ballpark. I would only lean to the over. I know it's scary with those starters. I know it's scary with the way Philly's offense has been poor the last 10 days, but I would look to the over here at 7.5, even with the high-end starters in this game. Ballpark factor wins out for me, Alex.
No, you're right. And I mean, both how these offenses are rated. We haven't quite seen that from the Phillies lately, but I think this should be closer to 8.5, maybe even 9 here. But if you are watching the games and you're betting some in-game here, I would just wait, because I do trust both of these pitchers to pitch well. And really, I think that there's been even more money on the Cubs. I think that's a great price on Wheeler. Kind of like that first 5, even better, minus 135. I think I'll take a shot on that. Worst case, well, hopefully, worst case for me, they're just tied and it's a push. So I like the Phillies in this one. Like you said, stopper. They need him
big time.
Yeah,
big time today. And you know what? I gotta look. The Cubs just lost a weekend series to Detroit, and again, I know there are Cub fans out there that felt that they were playing 13-on-9 this weekend with back-to-back bizarre outings from home plate umpires in that series, even though they won one of those games. But I'll just say this, Alex, with this National League, and I know I've been a proponent of the NL is significantly better than the American League. I still believe that, but these high-end teams, they all have their issues. But to me, the Cubs and the Mets have the least amount of issues of the high-end teams. Dwayne mentioned it with the Dodgers. Dodgers have 10 pitchers on the IL right now, including their 2 best guys in Snell, or 2 of their 3 best guys, can't leave Yamamoto out, Snell and Glasnow, who have barely pitched this year. Padres, their offense goes into funks. The Giants, who just swept the Braves over the weekend, by the way, look at that, Atlanta, 14 games out of the division right now. It could be lights out very early if they don't turn it around in the next 2 weeks. They play 7 games against the Mets starting next Tuesday, so they'll have an opportunity. But as weird as it is, I actually think the Cubs might be the least flawed of all these teams. I know there are questions about the longevity of their starting pitching, especially with a lot of journeyman guys in their rotation and with Imanaga hurt. But, boy, this opportunity for the Cubs against a high-end team to really show their might, especially with not showing it earlier in the week or last weekend against the Tigers.
Should be a really good series. I do think that we will find out a lot about both of them here. Kind of said the same thing about Detroit, though. A little bit shocked with that result and the Tigers taking them, but really they just lean on their high-end pitching staff. So you're right. I really do think it's just a matter of how long these pitchers can go and when Imanaga comes back. But probably their only flaw there. They are pretty stacked. And I think that's fair to say about all those teams. Cardinals might be sneaky. It's really funny. I think that Central is becoming a little bit more interesting now that, the Reds just can't get out of their own way. They did win 3 in a row here. Brewers starting to figure some things out. So that one becomes a little more interesting here, where we thought all along it was the East and West. But, I mean, West is still pretty intriguing. If the Dodgers continue this up and down and Padres and Giants can sneak in there.
Well, right now, again, the Giants, I thought they were going to come completely back to earth. They sweep Atlanta over the weekend. By the way, Giants played a homestand that this Sarah Lang stat. They're only the 4th team in Major League Baseball history to play a homestand of 6 or more games where all of the games were 1-run games. Now, they didn't win all of them. Of course, they lost 2 to San Diego, but sweeping Atlanta. Wow. Right now, just to bring this up, the pricing, I just throw this at you, Alex. I'm a little bit on the spot. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
But just throwing this at you here in these divisional prices. The Dodgers are still basically $5 favorites to win the National League West right now. And you know what? That probably is about right. San Diego's 8-1. Giants are plus 850. The Padres at 8-1, I think, is worth pizza money, personally. And that number, I think that's a reasonable price. By the way, that number is via DraftKings right now, Alex.
I do like it as well, especially, I mean, we're waiting for Michael King to come back, who was arguably their best pitcher to start the year. Dylan Cease is pitching better than his numbers say, and Pivetta, I mean, they are getting a lot from their pitching staff. It's really just the second half of their lineup, right, that they got to get going. And string some games together, get some hits together. But I don't hate that at all. At least a pizza money bet there.
Let's go to Atlanta and Milwaukee next. The former Milwaukee team against the current Milwaukee team. Boy, the Braves need to get something going here. We talked about it. Just got swept. They're 14 games behind the Mets. And more importantly than that, in the wild card now, they are 9.5 behind the Phillies. And they're 10 behind San Diego and San Francisco. Look, this is a Brave team that made up a double-digit comeback in the NL East in 2022. They also had to play over 700 baseball for basically 3 months in order to do that. This team has shown no capability of doing something like that. They do have their ace tonight, Chris Sale, on the bump at minus 145. Savali goes for Milwaukee. Brewers have quietly played pretty darn well over the last few weeks, have gotten it back from as much as 6 games under to 4 games over 500 now. In the mix in the NL wildcard and the NL Central. Alex, I don't want to play the streak against Atlanta here, but that feels like a good price on a Brewer team that has played pretty well, even though they're facing Atlanta's best tonight.
I will just say, too, with that wild card race, I think even more is they're only above the Rockies, the Marlins, and the Pirates.
Yeah, that's not good, Alex.
It's not good at all. And I don't think, there's a couple teams in there that could completely fall apart, like the Diamondbacks, especially now without Burns. But there's some other teams that I don't think they're going to have that many losses where they can jump them. But looking at this game today, I love the under in the first 5. I think that Chris Sale will be able to slow down this Brewers offense that has been a lot better. And you're right, I can't hate if you want to take that side. But then I think Savali will be able to do just enough with this Braves offense that continues to struggle. 197 batting average in the last 7, 325 slugging. So I like under first 5. That is definitely one of my favorite bets of the day. It is a 4 too, 4 flat.
Yeah, no problem with that, Alex. And again, Atlanta, it's been everything. Bullpen, lack of offense. It was Pierce Johnson twice over the weekend. Wild pitch walk-off on Friday and then gave up the 2-run walk-off homer on Saturday. You mentioned it. They're only ahead of 3 teams in the National League right now. And they're 2. If you had them say, they're going to be closer to the Marlins than the Phillies on June 9th, I said, the Marlins are having a pretty good year, aren't they? Yeah. A little bit of a surprise. But Atlanta, of that what was supposed to be a 3-headed monster in the NL East, has not produced. By the way, this is the first time since 2017 they've been 10 games under 500 at any point in the regular season as well. So it's been a while for Atlanta to be as poor as they've been here in the regular season. All right, now we get to the dynamite matchup. Dwayne mentioned it earlier. San Diego hosts L.A. Dodgers, Padres rematch. Somehow it is the first time these teams are playing each other this year, which is just brilliant scheduling, man, for the 2 teams that hate each other, and arguably the 2 best teams in the NL haven't even squared off until June 9th. It's May. It's Pivetta. Alex, I think we got a case of the wrong team favored in this game with Nick Pivetta on the mound. As we have talked about, he's been one of our favorites this year. He's been San Diego's most consistent starter, and he's been their best starter to boot. Yeah, I'll be on San Diego tonight at a short plus price at home. May has been better, but still not fully consistent. I like San Diego here, plus 105, Alex.
I agree with you. I do think that Padres should be a slight favorite here at home. I was looking at the first 5. You're not getting a plus price. It is minus 105 for that. But I might split it up and take a shot and do Padres full game plus 105. I was just a little more concerned with their bullpen. But, I mean, as you've mentioned, too, the Dodgers have had struggles coming out of the bullpen as well. I think that's the correct side. I do want to say that I think that Dustin May is getting better and his numbers are pretty good median-wise. I feel like I've been fading him a lot this year. I think it's just the pitchers that he tends to go against, like Max Fried and now here with Pivetta. So not going to try and do that for the course of this baseball season, but today I think that that's a good spot for the Padres.
Yeah, it would be, again, it's a good price right now. He's getting the plus price at home on the Padres with the better starter. I know it's the Dodgers. Dodgers are not... We've talked about this. Dodgers are not playing well. It's been an extended period of time that the Dodgers have been pretty average, all things considered. We'll date it back here. We'll do some mathematics on the show, which is always a dangerous game with us, as we know, Alex. But the Dodgers right now, you look at it, you go back, They were on May the 14th, were 13 games over 500 at 28-15. They've played one game under since then. So it's been almost a month that the Dodgers have been a 500 under 500 team. Schedule has been a little bit difficult, but even so, it's just not the same team right now. Actually, 29-15, so 2 games under since May the 15th when they beat the A's 19-2 on that day. All right, we go to the AL only baseball. We go to Boston next. Red Sox just can't put a run together, as we've talked about on this show, Alex. They'll throw Brian Bayo tonight, Shane Baz, so solid pitching matchup at Fenway. If the playoffs started today, the Tampa Bay Rays would be the top wild card in the American League, as we all expected about a month ago. Red Sox small favorite at -110, -05 on the Rays, total 8.5. Alex, this is a complete stay off. I think everything's good here.
I do, but I really am intrigued to bet the over here in this game. I think both pitchers can be hit, and I just like what I've seen from both offenses here. Fenway Park should help us out there. I am just a little concerned. There's slight wind blowing in, but I don't think it's enough. It's just not ideal Boston weather there for us. But going through their numbers and looking at Baez and Bello here. So, I mean, really, Brian Baeo is going 4 2/3, so might not even get full 5. This is his median numbers, 5 hits. Now, it is just 2 earned runs for him, but also 2.5 walks to just 3.5 strikeouts. Same thing basically on the other side. So, yeah, I like the way both of these offenses are hitting. They're definitely 2 of the best going today. Both batting above 249 batting average in the last 7, and Red Sox is 300. So I like over 8.5. I think we could get at least 9 runs here in this one.
Never going to say no to an over at Fenway, especially if the weather's neither way. It does not. Yeah. It's neutral today. For the weather at Fenway. All right, we go to Anaheim next. The struggling Athletics take on the Angels, who have actually gotten it into a tie with the Rangers for 3rd place in the American League West. That more to do with the Rangers more so than anything. Kikuchi against unknown starter at the moment right now for the Athletics. -50 on Anaheim or Los Angeles. Sorry. +135 on the homeless A's. A total of 9 here at Angel Stadium.
It's tough not knowing a starter. I have seen Jeffrey Springs. I don't know why that isn't official. So I'm assuming if it's not confirmed or anything with the books, then it's probably not going to happen. But I would like to see both lefties go here. I think that would be a pretty good game between them. But I'm fine with this number. -150 for the Angels at home. Total 9. I think everything's just right.
To interleague, we go to Cleveland. Battle of Ohio tonight. Luis Ortiz is off a really good start at Yankee Stadium his last time out. Will start for Cleveland. How about Wade Miley? There we go. There's a name we haven't seen yet this year. Miley makes his season debut. This will also, for Miley, second start for Miley. I got overexcited there, Alex. I missed his first appearance. It is his first start. He only pitched out of the bullpen his first time and got drubbed in 2 innings.
Yep.
Miley, who last time we saw Miley pitch in length before this was only 2 starts a year ago. So Miley has not thrown a ton since that good season he had in 2023 for Milwaukee. Ortiz is -160, +45 on Miley, 8.5 to total at Progressive tonight.
This is tough without knowing how deep Miley is going to go here in this one for them. I do think the Reds are the hotter team right now coming into this one, and their offense definitely says that. Guardians have struggled at the plate, but I really have nothing. Can't do anything. I mean, but I couldn't fault you if you wanted to take a shot with this Reds team.
Nothing on this. I don't know what Miley's going to give me. And again, just kind of stunned that they would even throw him out of the bullpen in that first appearance, and it did not go well for Wade. All right, we go to St. Louis next. Cardinals and Blue Jays. Berrios and Palante. Cardinals, we know how good they've been at home. Yep. Big-time home road splits right now. The first team out of the last team out of the postseason, just a half game behind Philadelphia entering today's action. -15 on Palante, even on Berrios, total of 8.5. By the way, Toronto also the playoffs started today, the Toronto Blue Jays would be the second wild card in the American League, Alex.
Pretty crazy. And it is tough. It's when do you want to trust these teams and when do you want to believe that they are that good? Both of these two coming in off of a loss. Again, another one, I just think that we could get runs here in both these starting pitchers. Even though they are, they're above average a little bit here for the big leagues, but I still just don't think they're anything great where they can get hit up. 2 and 3 is their earned runs median number here, and both offenses are hitting. So if anything, it would be an overplay, but this isn't quite like Fenway. So I'm probably just going to stay off of this game altogether.
Can't really blame you. Can't really blame you on that. This is a tough one here. I would have liked the better price on Toronto, honestly. Even with St. Louis's success at home, that'd be the only way I would have looked to play that. All right, last one, Mariners and Diamondbacks. Seattle just can't hit at the moment again, and they did win yesterday 3-2, but they lost 2 out of 3 in Anaheim. They had gotten swept at home before that by the Orioles. It's been we know this with Seattle, just inconsistent offense is doing them in at the moment. Diamondbacks, who of course lost Corbin Burns for the year last week, and are sitting right now at 3 games under 500 and kind of in a tough spot in a very front-loaded National League, as we've talked about. Merrill Kelly, who's probably their best starter at the moment now with no Burns, will go against Hancock for Seattle -65 on the D-backs. Total 9.5. Alex, it'd only be a look to the under, but I'm going to stay off of this here at that 9.5.
No, I agree with you. I do think it is a look to the under here. I think 9.5 is a little aggressive, especially with what we've seen from the Mariners. And I think Emerson Hancock has been getting better throughout the year. So I think he could help with that under. I like Merrill Kelly a lot. I think that he needs to be the stopper here for this team, just like we are saying with Zach Wheeler going tonight. So if anything, it would be the Diamondbacks. And I kind of think that's a cheap price here. -170 if you like the first 5, -165. Of course, do have to add in that they have lost 3 in a row. But still, even adding that in, I think this is a pretty cheap price for the home team.
-165 on Arizona tonight at Chase Field. Before we take a break and give you the trivia answer in Alex's whiteboard, just a quick programming note for tomorrow. U.S. Open at Oakmont begins on Thursday, but we'll be doing our golf preview tomorrow on the show around 10:35 Pacific time tomorrow morning. Barry Phillips, who, of course, you saw earlier this year with Alex White on the Masters preview, will be in studio. We'll get Barry's thoughts on everything to do with the U.S. Open coming on Thursday in Oakmont in Western Pennsylvania. We'll take a break. When we get back, whiteboard, trivia answer to wrap up a Monday on Sports by the Book.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book here on a Monday morning. Jeff Parles, Alex White. All right, trivia question time. On this date in 1973, Secretariat won the Triple Crown. A record time of the Belmont Stakes, of course, at the regular distance, not the distance we saw over the weekend at Saratoga. Which descendant of Secretariat also won their Triple Crown years later on this date in June 9th? And, of course, that was the most recent Triple Crown champion, and that was Justify, who followed again. We went Forever, American Pharoah in 2015, and then just 3 years later, Justify won the Triple Crown at the Belmont. Sixth generation descendant of Secretariat, winning the Triple Crown, the 13th and most recent Triple Crown champion in horse racing. And Nick, who's had a good start to the month of June, on the board again with the correct trivia answer here today.
Pretty amazing. 2018 is the last time we've had a Triple Crown winner.
Well, we went
A long time
We
before.
went from 1978 to 2015 with as crazy enough because that was if memory serves me correctly, that was back to back with Affirmed and Seattle Slew in 78 and 77. And we went almost 30 years without a Triple Crown winner before that. So there you go. With Seattle Slew in 1977. All right, whiteboard time. It's picks time here on a Monday, and we'll toss it over to the one and only Alex White just before 11 a.m. here.
So I will just say Duke is the only Duke in Murray State. Only one more ticket about to be punched into Omaha. They're playing tonight. My dad does like under. It is a high total at 16.5. So if you want to jump in that, of course, if you saw the game yesterday, 19-9 might make you a little bit nervous in that one, but trusting Duke's starting pitcher in that. Here are my 4 bets of the day. I'm going with the Braves and the Brewers. We're going under 4 in the first 5. Zach Wheeler. I'm sorry, it's not Zach Wheeler. It's Chris Sale and Savali on the other side. So I think that we can keep that game lower scoring. Padres first 5. I'm going minus 105 to be up in the first 5. And then I also am going to take some of that full game against the Dodgers at home, plus 105. I'm going Tampa Bay and Red Sox. We're going over the 8.5, trusting both of these offenses. And then D-backs, I'm going to lay the run line for the first 5. I think that's probably the best way to play it with Merrill Kelly on the bump, trying to stop this losing streak. So minus 120, minus the half a run in the first 5.
The only look today is going to be San Diego on my end. Take the Padres. I'll just take the full game. At plus 105, and minus 105 first 5 is good as well. Got the better pitcher. Bavetta has been awesome, but that's all. The only thing I can even look at here today. If Florida wins tonight, I will be taking Edmonton on the series price. I'm just throwing that out there. I will be taking the Oilers on the series price if Florida wins tonight. And if Edmonton wins tonight, maybe I'll come back the other way. Who knows? It will be a man of mystery here over the next day plus. All right, tomorrow, Barry Phillips joins Alex and I. U.S. Open preview, baseball. There's no basketball or hockey. We'll just give our thoughts on what we saw from Game 3 in the NHL. So it'll be baseball and golf.
Right.
Swinging both type of sticks here tomorrow on the show. Big thanks to the crew as always. Vince, Drew Dog, and Ryan getting us on the air here this morning, and Jerry as well. Thank you all. Alex, good luck.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Big thanks to Dwayne Colucci for joining us, as he always does, at 10 a.m. on Mondays. We'll see you tomorrow with Barry Phillips right here, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.